All right.
All right. Ready, set.
My audience of two is back.
All right. Santi, three.
Technically, I have three. Got the bear. Okay. Previous First Lady Michelle Obama once said, "If my future were determined just by my performance on a standardized test, I wouldn't be here. I guarantee you that." When I remember back to my days in grade school, one of the first things that pops into my head is the anxiety of test taking. My teachers used to constantly remind me how important it was that we did our best on the test. Well, I am and always have been the type of student that does not do very well in tests. I succeed a lot better in social settings without the stress of multiple choice answers or blank spaces. Standardized testing is merely a statistic of what an individual student can accomplish, but oftentimes we find ourselves comparing students' intelligence levels to the outcome of those test scores. They have become a do-or-die type of situation in our education system, and oftentimes leave students who did not achieve at a high level feeling like they aren't good enough. Which is why we need to come together as a society to find a more profitable and productive way to assess the educational achievements of students in our nation without making them feel like they will never be good enough if they don't score higher than proficient in reading, math, and science. So I'd like to take a deeper look at why the use and comprehension of standardized testing has been such a controversial issue in today's government, and how we should expand our nation's comparisons beyond what the students are learning in educational settings. So what is standardized testing? According to edglossary.org, standardized testing is defined as any form of test that requires all test takers to answer the same questions or a selection of questions from common bank of questions in the same way, and that is scored in a standard or consistent manner, which makes it possible to compare the relative performance of individual students or group of students. For years, this form of testing has been used to assess and establish where individual students stand on the learning curve in grade school. But another very famous form of standardized testing are tests like the ACT, SAT, and the MCAT, which are all used as entrance exams into colleges and/or grad schools. Unlike standardized testing, in grade schools, these types of tests are very difficult and require a large amount of study time if you hope to do well on your first time. Since these standardized tests have been around for quite some time now, we have become numb to the original purpose of these tests, which was to test our knowledge. We have put so much pressure on students to score proficient or above, and that is now teaching our youth to just become good test takers, to do just what it takes to get the job done instead of actually learning the material. This is actually a very big flaw of standardized testing, but it is certainly not the only flaw. As I stated before, one of the biggest defects of standardized testing is that they fail to evaluate the student as a whole. They only test you on a few curricular subjects and then determine your ranking based on those results. But as Albert Einstein once said, everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will spend its whole life believing that it is stupid. We cannot continue to rank our children in schools based off of average results who have strengths in different categories. That is only setting them up for failure and defeat before they even discover their individual strengths. These tests have the compatibility of really disturbing these students' self-esteem and confidence, and possibly such a young age, and we should do whatever we can to not let this happen. Another very prominent flaw in standardized testing is that funding is often dependent on the student's scoring, which means the amount of money given to a specific school district is oftentimes dependent on the test scores achieved within that particular school. A prime example of this claim is that the case of low socioeconomic areas versus high socioeconomic areas. Areas of low socioeconomic class tend to have lower income schools, which means they oftentimes can't afford tutoring or test prep in order to excel in these standardized tests. Whereas of areas of high socioeconomic class, they are able to afford tutors and test prep classes in order to prepare for standardized tests and advance in the educational curriculum. A very important yet underspoken flaw of standardized testing is the fact that standardized testing has not shown improvement in students' educational curricular achievement. According to standardized tests, procon.org, after the No Child Left Behind Act passed in 2002, the United States slipped from 18th in the world in math, on the PISA exam to 31st place in 2009, with a similar drop in science. Not only are they showing the possibility in lowering our rankings worldwide, but they are also dramatically confining the curriculum. As you can see, there are many studies that have shown there are many flaws within standardized testing, and they should be considered and taken very seriously. Not only have they shown that they can be detrimental to a student's self-esteem, but they have also shown that they are not increasing our results in curricular learning. So why is standardized testing a test, or why is standardized testing a test that we don't really need in our education system? According to edweek.org, we don't learn much from standardized testing, and we have lost a great deal by giving it so much prominence. The Common Core is at risk for failure not because the standards are bad per se, but because with standardized testing or standardized accountability, we won't get a real picture of achievement. In conclusion, we should take action as a society to decrease the use of standardized testing and instead put our trust in our trained teachers to assess the performance and progress of their students in ways other than just tests. Child development is very rigorous in grade school, so we should be doing our best to promote healthy self-esteem and individualized uniqueness in each student instead of comparing them to a number based off of test results. Thanks. All right. I'll use one more time.
You sound good.